640 WFNC. Kirk DeViere is the chairman of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. He joins us live right now, Studio One, like you do every Tuesday. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm well. Look like y'all didn't get any food from Chef
We
Judy.
got
What's
zero.
up with that? I'm just giving her a hard time. She's going to give me a hard time now that I said that.
Wait, but you know what was funny? When you walked out the door, you said, you didn't bring these guys any food? What kind of operation are you running here? No, what you talking about? Two great people to be in our community.
She's amazing and such an ambassador for our community. You know, those are the stories that you want to tell about our community. Veteran, small business owner, just, picked herself up from her bootstraps and made it happen. And that's who she is, and it speaks to the grit of who we are as a community.
Well, and so is the same thing with Chris Dotson as well. I mean, he's a former forward observer is what he was. He said the life expectancy in Vietnam was 13 seconds for those guys. Bring the bombs in here. And so he said, I think I need to change careers, and decided to become a chef, and we're better for it. He went up in Chicago, and he's just returned to the community.
That's great.
He's been here, and a nice article that was written back, a couple years ago about him. And so he and Chef Judy are doing their thing and teaching kids and adults how to cook. What's your go-to meal? Do you cook something?
Once again, pouring into our youth, which is so important in our community. You look at, it seems like every time I come on the show, you've got somebody that Minute Purpose, you've got all these different groups that are pouring into the youth in our community, which is extremely critical. It was just at Shaw University banquet this weekend. Great organization, gave out 3 scholarships to deserving students that, again, they are raising money to help some kids go to college.
The food was good, too.
Food was good.
That was one thing.
I was going to say, I saw you. The music, I don't know about now.
Oh, you're going to throw me under the bus there. But, they made me an honorary member of the Alumni Association for 5. I got a 5-year membership with them.
There you go.
And so I'm planning.
So we expect you out there every year at the banquet.
We'll be there every year, and the Total Collaboration Band was there. Both of us donated our services to make sure it was well. You gave a nice speech. Welcoming them to the community and everything. So they were jam-packed.
Oh, it was I've been going to that for years. I always, as I mentioned that day, I always think about Wilson Lacey and, the impact he had on this community in so many ways. And that was one of the ways that he was, was a driving force behind that, not just the chapter, but also that event and the scholarships that play into it. And his wife was there again Saturday. It's always good to see her. But Sheila Cuffey did a great job. Laura Hardy, they both did a great job of, Sheila Cuffey was in charge of the
And Shirley's alumni.
Yeah, that's right.
But the thing about it is those HBCUs are just critical for our community. I'm a product of Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio. And weren't for that university, you wouldn't know me with my journalism background and all that I do. And at Fayetteville State University, it just goes on in terms of the products that are produced and the benefits that we reap because folks go through those things. All right, did you have a meeting yesterday?
Well, we had a budget meeting. We did not have a regular meeting. We'll have our regular meeting on the 15th. Is that correct? The 15th? 14th. 14th. No, 15th. 15th. So next Monday will be our regular meeting. But yesterday, we've got a series of budget meetings this week. We had one yesterday, budget workshops. We have one today. We'll have one Thursday as well. So just moving through the budget, over $400 million, $650 million total, about $400 million. As we look at the general fund and the tax dollars, we're moving through that now to look for other efficiencies or things that the board wants to change. We're moving line by line and section by section through the budget. We've got a pretty good flow for how we'll go through it. We try to do it in about 2 to 3 hour blocks, so we're not exhausting the staff or exhausting, the commissioners, and it's also make sure we're working through it. Staff has provided a lot of great information to us. Commend the commissioners and my colleagues. They've been in advance asking questions, so we're having productive work sessions, which is what you want to do as we move through this and look for opportunities to better provide services to our constituents, and as always, try to keep that tax rate as low as we can.
Well, and that's the point I was going to get to. Nothing has been etched in stone in terms of
We're not
where we are.
well.
on any of
The
that.
presented budget had zero tax. It did not have a tax increase. So at a baseline, we're there. Is there anything else that we can do to, look to lower it, or stay at the same based on there's a lot of downward pressure we're seeing right now. You've got flat sales tax, declining sales tax, property kind of little to no growth, downward pressures from federal government and state with some unfunded mandates that we have to account for with things from HR1 and things like that we need to have additional resources and staff to do. So we have to, and just like any small business and any business right now in this economy, and we're seeing those other pressures. When you look at we've got a workforce, our workforce needs insurance and benefits, and we look at cost of living and those types of things. So we're trying to make sure we balance that, as well as delivering services to the community, but also watch that tax rate.
Well, I think the thing is that most people don't understand how complicated this can be, because if you even just think about your own household, and you get to the end of the month, and do you have more month left than you have paycheck? and there's a lot of us who have to deal with that, and the county is no different. It's just times 1,000,000.
That's right.
In terms of, do we have enough money at the end of the day, the end of the fiscal year, to take care of all the needs?
Well, and it's not even that, but it's also planning. So, like yesterday, a big conversation. We worked through our debt models yesterday, which is how we will fund, school facilities and new construction, as well as infrastructure, as well as our own maintenance on our own buildings, because we have a ton of buildings in and of itself. So we walked through that model. Had the school board there, Superintendent Bracey was there, but also some of the school board members were there, and we walked through their request of ours from a construction and maintenance standpoint. We had allocated dollars last year, and there's additional ask this year to increase the new construction by about another $150 million. So we're looking at, what does that look like in our debt model? Can we fund it? How do we fund it? What's the flow of that of the dollars that we need in the years that we need, and how much of the general fund do we allocate against that debt? We want to be responsible to that and make sure we allow ourselves some capacity, but we know we are woefully behind in our investment, and so we've made that investment. They've asked for more. We've set aside the investment. They've asked for a little bit more to pick up the pace a little bit on the new construction, to bring some additional new schools, and so we had that conversation last night, and we'll make a final determination on the additional dollars as we move through this budget process.
And so, the fiscal year begins July 1st?
July 1, yep.
July 1st. So, and that's what we're in that process here.
Yeah.
And it seems like, we had the city manager in here,
Mhm.
and we were talking about budget as well. The city's going through their budgeting process as well. It looks like there may be an increase. We're not sure. Nothing is etched in stone yet. But I presented to the manager, Doug Hewitt. He said, look, nobody wants a tax increase.
Right.
And he said, well, write down what services and things you're willing to do without. And nobody wants to do that. We still want everything that we're getting, and it's up to you guys to make sure we get it without any tax increase. Now,
And I've known Doug a long time. I was on city council when he became the manager, and I've known him before that when he was here previously. But that's a good manager answer.
Sure it is.
So tell me what you don't want, and let's talk about services and personnel, because that makes electeds. It gets political. I'll put it that way. So
but that's the
it
point.
is incumbent upon the staff. It's an incumbent upon the elected officials to look at the tax dollars that you pay, that everybody in this community pay, and ensure that we are doing the right things with them. We're right sizing our organizations. We're ensuring that we're delivering the best possible services. And we look at that every year. You zero base it out and you build it back up, and you look at what those increases need to be, or based on the economy, and you look at where the savings would be, and you look at where you need to invest. And you prioritize, and that's the key thing. You make the priority. So are they doing things that are not in their scope? One of the questions our board has asked is, what by statute are we required to do and what's our level of service, and let's ensure we're doing that, and then we begin to look at these other additional things that we must do.
You have some new board members on.
Not anymore. We're
Well, I mean, yeah, you're into it pretty good, and the way the election cycle goes, I mean, you're campaigning all the time, in terms of moving people along and being involved with what they've inherited. This is a complicated process in terms of trying to figure out what it is you can provide and what you can't provide. But the bottom line is the bottom line,
That's right.
and there are no magicians over there in terms of making something appear that you just can't
No,
afford. Let me make one other
go
point
ahead.
here, and that is that the board inherits certain
That's right.
certain things. And one of the biggest things that you inherited was a lack of maintenance for the school systems over a course of
And new
many
construction.
years. And yeah, right, new construction.
And lack of investment in infrastructure, water and sewer.
Well, so now this is the plate that you have, and it's easy to blame the prior administration,
No
but
need
that's
to
not.
do
This
that.
is your plate.
That's right. No need to look backwards. You got to look forward. Everybody makes decisions at the time that they believe is best. You can question them later. You can sideline quarterback, but we are where we are. We know that if we're going to grow as a community, you've got to have good schools to do that. You've got to have infrastructure. You've got to have good public safety. When I talk public safety, I mean from the mental health aspect to our sheriff's department, and a strong social services DSS and health department that can provide those services to the most vulnerable. But if you're going to grow as a community, you got to have good schools. You got to have infrastructure so you can have industry growth and home growth, and you got to have a safe community. That's what people are asking for when they come here, and you're seeing a board that has continued to prioritize that, invest in that. It's driven by our strategic plan. We've been very focused on that, and I think that's what you'll see at the end of this budget. We had some great conversations yesterday around our investment in the schools and looking at how we do that additional investment to help get us further along in where we should be. Especially, our kids deserve to go to quality school. They deserve to, be in like we did last year and invested deeper in our teachers with teacher supplements. They deserve that, in our community. Our community should have that.
One thing the city managers mentioned, I hate to keep bringing Doug up, but he was here, and they're able to provide enough funding for the police department, for example, so that officers aren't crossing the line and going to other counties to work because the pay here is not what it should be. I guess the same thing with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, Sheriff Morgan's done a great job this year. He actually came back with a kind of a pay plan recommendation that he brought forward, working with his team, and it shuffles some things around, keeps him competitive, gives him a better step plan. But it's interesting. I'm hopeful that we as a public safety group, the sheriff and these police chiefs around can begin to, because we're sometimes not just competing with the county lines, we're competing with each other. So you move from one police force to another, to the sheriff's office, to to different spaces, not just going to Hoke or Harnett or another county. They're competing with themselves in some ways. So hopefully we can level some of that out.
All right, well, time is getting near the end here. I always want to give you an opportunity. If there's a point you need to drive home, make sure you have time to do that.
Yeah, just want to encourage people to, again, this is one of the largest things that your Board of Commissioners does, and that's this budget, over $650 million. Your voice matters. Input in. We're at a point now, we've already had our public hearing. Actually, we had 2 public hearings. Normally have 1. We wanted to have 2 to provide the opportunity for people to participate in the evening and in the morning. But you can still email, call, get your information in. If you have a priority, write us, email us, call us, let us know what is a priority for you. You can do that on our website, cumberlandcountync.gov. You can reach all the commissioners at one time and let us know what you're thinking.
Well, and these comments and phone calls and everything don't fall on deaf ears. You really
No.
take a look at what people are saying.
No, we totally do. I mean, look, we had the room packed when we were talking about, we did a public hearing on data centers. We had over 33 speakers at one time. Between both budget hearings, we probably had maybe 12 to 15 speakers total. compared to the 33 that we saw around a data center. So we want that input. It's important. We listen. You've got an active board that leans in and actually listens and digests what is being told to us, because you're the taxpayers at the end of the day, and we work for you.
Well, and these things like the data center is emotionally driven, and when you have the emotion,
Well,
there's not much emotion about the budget.
There is emotion about the budget.
Well, I
when
mean,
you
but
get your
the general
tax bill
public-
every month.
Well, that's
or every year.
But the majority of folks probably in our community are renters, and they're not really concerned.
Yeah, but the rent goes up if your property tax goes
There
up.
you go. He's driving home the points here. This is Kirk DeViere, Chairman of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. Always good to have you here. We'll see you next week. You're listening to News Talk 640 WFNC. We've got Fayetteville's most dependable forecast with CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsey.
Today will be mostly cloudy with a high of 90 degrees. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with a low of 70, and Wednesday will be partly cloudy with a high of 96. The heat will continue through the weekend with summer-like chances for rain and thunderstorms almost every afternoon and evening. That is your Fayetteville forecast. I'm CBS 17 meteorologist Rachel Dunsey.
Rachel, thank you. 68 degrees right now, Fayetteville, Hope Mills, and also in Grays Creek. You're listening to News Talk 640. We're WFNC.
Get more bang for your buck at DW Auto Dealers of Fayetteville. DW, Fayetteville's #1